Welcome to Through the Corporate Glass, a podcast that explores career choices. We dive into the latest trends in tech careers, demystify industry roles, spotlight startups, and even explore unconventional paths outside the industry. Join us for authentic conversations that will challenge your assumptions and inspire you to think differently. Welcome to another episode of Through the Corporate Glass. I'm your host, Ashwini. What does technical marketing for a generative AI product look like? What are the unique skills necessary to be successful in this role? What are the challenges and opportunities with AI in the mix? We discuss this and much more with Laura Jordana, Director Technical Marketing at Nutanix. Laura graduated from San Jose State University with a bachelor's in computer science and has nearly 2 decades of experience in the tech industry, spanning roles in system reliability engineering, sales enablement, and technical marketing. She currently leads the technical marketing effort for the Nutanix AI product. Welcome to our podcast, Laura. Thank you so much for making time for us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Let's start right from the beginning. I'm curious about how you started your journey in the industry. How did you end up with technical marketing?
I started out as a computer science major and I worked in QA and support roles for a while. And I started at Nutanix about 12 years ago now in technical support and did a variety of roles. I was in technical support for a couple years, and I really admire people that can stay in a support role for longer than that. I was ready to move on at that point. I then moved into sales, inside sales engineering, working with the inside sales team at Nutanix. And so that was really good. And I got more hands-on with helping with demos and things like that. And then moved into enablement. And that's where I started really working with the technical marketing team. We were in enablement, we received the content from the team and present it for enablement purposes. And that's when I really realized I'd rather be making that content. I took a break for a while, which we'll talk about. And when I came back, I reached out to some contacts I had on the team and basically got hooked up with the manager, Paul, and his management, and was able to join the tech marketing team about 6 years ago now. And so it's really been my longest stint at Nutanix. And so we have a lot of seniority on the team as well. People like this role when they get in it for certain people.
Yeah, that's very exciting. So you've seen the opposite sides of the system, if you will, support where everything's wrong, and then the marketing, which is like generally the happier, brighter side of the world.
Definitely.
And then everything in between as well, I'm guessing, because you actually had customer demo interactions and things like that.
Yeah, moving from support to sales, I think was actually the biggest shift for me, because it was really like I never got to see any of the good parts in support, right? And moving over into sales, you really had to shift your mindset and then learn about, oh, this people are actually using this and it's working. It's not broken for everybody, right? And it's a big shift, but it was definitely more on the brighter side for sure. And getting to talk to customers about their opportunities and how Nutanix can help, that was really exciting as well. And that bleeds into, of course, marketing. We get to polish it up a little more in terms of how we're presenting it and providing that content and collateral to help with that.
Yeah. So I'm going to take a step back and ask you to just explain how technical marketing is actually different from product marketing.
Yeah, that's a great question. So products and technical marketing, right? They're really closely related. And we work really closely with product marketing. And I've always, been of the mindset that product marketing is like they're responsible more for crafting the overall narrative and defining the messaging. And we're like the technical counterparts. We provide the technical proof points to really back up that story. If we look at the output of what each of us produce, right? Product marketing, they're producing things like the messaging docs, case studies, and planning a lot of go-to-market activities like launch planning and campaigns, which of course we support with our kind of assets and collateral, but our assets are more technical in nature. So things like white papers, blogs, demos, and those things of the like. And if we look at the personas who we're marketing to, right, Technical marketing, we're more aimed at the IT persona, like who's actually going to be using the product, engineering, developers, any technical decision makers. Whereas product marketing, I feel, is more executive level, maybe non-technical stakeholders and decision makers. And so there's a little bit of a difference there. Both roles, we work across product management and sales, right? Internally, those are our cross-functional teams we work with the most, with the sales team really being our internal customers, right? We're helping them with opportunities, we're providing sales enablement. And then again, we see that split where product marketing is more focused on the sales account reps enablement, and we're focused on the sales engineer because of who the personas who we're working with.
Right.
So gets a little bit more technical deep dives in how the product works. And then, of course, tying that back into the messaging and the value propositions that are weaved into the story.
Absolutely. Thanks for bringing so much clarity around that. I think I'm going to link some of the technical content that you've put out as well in our show notes. So then it becomes much clearer as well to listeners. And of course, now you're doing technical marketing for a generative AI product. I'm curious, how is it different? You've done technical marketing for a while on different kinds of products. How is AI different and is it impacting the role?
It's different because AI is so new, right? If we look at like the last 20 years of technology, AI, and you can, research analysts back this up, it's really the next kind of transformative shift in technology, right? I think the last one was like smartphones, the public cloud, the birth of the public cloud. So this is kind of the first time that a technology is really changing everything. So from a technical marketing standpoint, the collateral and the assets, like all that really doesn't change, but it's just the content and the new skills to learn and to understand is what also makes it really exciting too. It's having to completely learn a new technology and understand things like what an LLM is and what the different inference engines available are, what is even inference and training and fine tuning, which like 2 years ago when I first started looking at this, I had no idea what any of that was, something different compared to past features and products that I've worked on.
Yeah. And it's also interesting. I think you mentioned the pace of the technology, right? I'm guessing the pace of the content has also really increased, given that every other day you have something new being announced as a new model, smaller model, larger model.
Definitely. And I'd be lying if I said I could keep up with all of it. I wish I could keep up
Right.
with all of it and have content out for everything. We do our best to focus on what makes sense for us. It's definitely evolving very, very fast. Brand new skill sets are being developed both on our side and as well as our customers, right? They have to figure out how they can leverage this new technology that's really taken the world by storm and fold that into their existing business practices and their existing mandates and making sure that everything is secure and private. And there's so many unknowns out there just in the world of AI, right? Like a lot of these AI models are black boxes. We don't know how they make the decisions they make. There's a lot of unknowns just overall. So it's an interesting piece of it as well, and some challenges there.
Yeah, very true. I'm also going to ask you a little bit about the behind the scenes view, right? What does it take to actually put out a tech blog? Because, for instance, I know the latest blog that you wrote, you actually tried it out yourself, right? Before you blogged about it. So,
Yeah, so that's why I enjoy the tech marketing side because I really feel like your content is so much better if you're actually doing it and walking through it. It helps me just as a technical marketer and a technical person understand it better and understand the value and why it's such an interesting topic or an interesting solution. So yeah, this last one that I worked on, it was inspired by our solutions engineering team who had created or they had run this vision model on our enterprise AI product and they wanted to blog about it. And I was like, well, that's awesome. I was able, and so I have an environment I was able to try it out in and run through it. Didn't take very long, and then being able to write about it as I was doing it, that was the methodology behind that. But yeah, it was really, really interesting to work on that one. Yeah.
I love that because it also brings a lot of credibility into the writing because someone's actually gone through every step and is guiding the other person through it.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah, and I want to make sure if someone asks me a question about it, I can actually answer it because I did it. Yeah.
This leads me to the next question. Of course, there's a lot of buzz around generative AI products, trying to get into the space in different roles. And the same is true for tech marketing and AI. So, how does somebody break into this area?
I think just in general for technical marketing, just having an interest and a passion for learning about something. So in this case, AI, learning about what's out there, where the industry is going, what the different products are, getting hands-on as much as you can and trying things out. And then just start writing, right? Like start kind of writing things down and maybe creating some explainer videos. These are really the core assets that we create in technical marketing. So just by doing that on your own, you're already starting to do that portion of the job. So that's, I think, a big piece of it.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that with AI, it's a little easier given all of the open source content that's out there and accessible for people to try this out, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
Now, you have a ton of super impressive content out there, Laura, like in terms of demo videos, explainers. And when I say impressive, it's not just from the technical point of view that we just spoke about in terms of the due diligence, content, and all of that. They also are like super appealing visually. So I'm curious, there's an art and a skill part of it, I'm sure. The art is a little harder to define, I'm going to guess. So, what are the skills that are needed?
Yeah. So our videos, our Tech Bites series on YouTube, Nutanix University, that the technical marketing team, that's the standard that we follow. We came up with that, or a couple people on our team came up with that during COVID, right? Because we were all at home. We wanted to put out videos. We used to have like a couple studios, or we do still have studios in the office, but during the shutdown, like no one could use those. So we adapted to learning how to do this from home. And as part of that, we came up with working alongside our branding team some standards in terms of like what kind of transition to use and the lower thirds on your when your name comes up and things like that. So that's we're basically following a style guide when it comes to that. So that really helps is having this kind of playbook to look at in terms of where to implement certain assets in the video itself. We all currently use Camtasia, so just learning those skills in video editing software. And then so that's the video piece of it. But for the actual like content and script and things like that, right? There's a couple of key skill sets I would think are really important. One, and this applies to everything in technical marketing, is understanding how to break down these technical concepts into kind of easy to understand ways, simplifying them a little bit. And then aligning them with the value propositions and the messaging that goes along with that product. So you really want to come with the at the forefront. How is this making a customer's life easier? Why would they want to use this? What is the specific pain point or problem that it's trying to solve? So we would usually like to open it up with a question to get them thinking, right? So for example, I usually like to start out my videos by addressing the problem. So I have a video coming out maybe by the time this podcast is out on our new enterprise AI product. And I really start out by asking the viewer the question: AI apps are going to be the next business critical application. Your IT team needs to be able to support those apps. Is your IT team ready? And so really get them thinking, right? Is my IT team ready? And then in many cases, the answer might be no, I'm not really sure. And they'll want to watch for the next 5 minutes to see how Nutanix can really help with that. So solving the customer problems, really the overall strategy there. How do we solve these real world use cases? An interesting thing, when I first joined the technical marketing team, I asked my manager, Paul, what's the difference between documentation and what technical marketing produces? And he gave a really good analogy of, and I'm probably going to butcher it because I don't remember it exactly, but he said something about engineering makes the bread, documentation tells you how you can make toast, for example. But technical marketing, really, we put the butter on the toast and we make it, we answer more of the why instead of just like the how. Why do you want to do this? Why are you making the bread taste good? Really
Right.
kind of addressing that aspect of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think it's really nice that you call that out just in terms of the differences between the different areas. And that's a ton of concrete skills over there as well. So if somebody wants to dive into any of those, I think that's great. Where does generative AI fit in terms of just the process? Do you think it helps?
Yeah, I think it definitely helps. I mean, I use ChatGPT like almost every day. I think it's a great tool for me for a couple of things. One, it really inspires creativity. So I might have an idea of how I want to like open a video or what I want to say, but maybe I just need help with how I can say this a little differently, or if I'm looking for a particular way to say something. I have something in my head, but I can't quite grasp it, can't quite get it down on paper. So GenAI can really help move things along in that sense. So that's one area. And then just in terms of understanding new concepts, AI, again, I can't believe it's been 2 years now, but It still feels really new, and I think that there's still a lot to learn. So just understanding new concepts in the AI space and the broader cloud native space as well, which is relatively something I haven't worked too much with. I've dabbled in it right in the past few years, but I've really had to like buckle down and learn Kubernetes in the last year. So GenAI has helped with that, right? I mean, I always cross-reference everything. You want to make sure that they're giving you accurate responses, but it's been really helpful to break down details into ways that we can understand. So in some ways you could say it's like tech marketing, right? It takes everything from the internet and it boils it down and summarizes it into a way that makes more sense. And then I can of course cross-reference that and make sure, okay, is that really accurate? But it definitely helps point you in the right direction, I would say.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of great points that you mentioned over there. From a writer's block point of view, it's great, it gets you started. But also, I think you made a very important observation about cross-referencing and checking on what you get back.
I hope everyone does that. I don't,
I
everyone
know.
people in the world to take AI at face value, especially at this point. So that's something to keep in mind as we move forward with it.
Yeah, that's very true. How do you actually define success with technical marketing?
Yeah, so that's I think marketing in general, it's can be harder to quantify how we influence revenue, and that's why you have things like attribution, right? Lead generation and linking opportunities to specific campaigns to see how well they perform. So on the tech marketing side, right, we have our OKRs. So we have like some metrics that we're trying to reach, things like views on videos, impressions, and engagement in videos and blogs. Can we tie these back to opportunities? Are salespeople using these assets and opportunities, and are they influencing them? We track the opportunities that we're involved in so we can get an idea there. So yeah, it's definitely harder than if you're in sales, right? It's easy to say, okay, I met my number or I didn't. So it's a little harder to quantify, but we still do have some metrics that we look at in terms of whether we're successful or not with specific assets that we're producing. It's all about who's using it,
Yeah.
how many people are using it, how many people are looking at it, and is it influencing pipeline?
Yeah. And I guess it could potentially help with just customers adopting the product as well, because you do put out a lot of technical details there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, customer adoption is definitely another side of it as well. It's an opportunity in and of itself, renewals and all that. So that definitely ties into it.
Right. I know you spoke about a few of these aspects earlier, but I'm curious, what is it that you absolutely love about your role?
So I love getting hands-on with the technology. I think that's how I learn best, learning as much as I can about it. And I really like creating content. Like I've always enjoyed documenting things, whether it's my personal life or at work, right? And I like to be able to take things that I've documented and share them with people, whether it helps them or in case it's useful for someone else. I traveled for a bit. I took a little bit of a break and I started a travel blog during that time. And I had an Instagram account. I was trying to post every day and like get followers and things like that. And I wasn't like, I didn't have like a million followers or anything, but it was a lot of fun to do and just to share my experiences. So that's the same thing I like to do on the technical side as well. So that's part of what I love about it.
Yeah, that was a fun blog. And I do want to ask you about the break that you took. Tell us all about it, just in terms of how you decided to take the break, how long the break was, what did you do?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm on my dad's side, we have Spanish heritage, and my I remember in my early 20s, my mom was like, "Oh, you should study abroad in Spain for a year," right? And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah." And I never did it. And so I didn't do it, and it was always something I regretted, and I had wished I had done it. I remember looking back on some things I had written down, like I did say I wanted to live in Spain and learn Spanish. This was probably a few years after that. So I was like, okay, it always stuck in my mind that I wanted to do that. And so it was of a bucket list item. But I'd been at Nutanix for about 5 or 6 years. And I was at a point where I'd saved some money where I felt like I could do it. So I could just take a break from my career and go travel. So I decided to do it then. It was about 15 years later after my mom suggested it, but now or never. So I decided to leave at that point and take that gap year. And I did live in Spain. I did a lot of traveling around Europe. My Spanish is okay. Don't quiz me right now or ask me to say something. I did Europe for about almost a year. I have family there, so I stay with family. Did some traveling around different countries. Everything in Europe is so close. Weekend trips to different countries. And then I came back to the States and I did some traveling in Central America. Did like a 4 month backpacking trip, stayed in hostels and the whole thing. I think I was gone for about a year and a half. And I was really trying to save money at the end. So I was doing the hostel thing, and you can travel pretty cheaply if you want to. So that really helps as well. One thing that I want to talk about that I did in Spain that I really liked was I did part of the Camino de Santiago, if you've heard of that. It's a route, a pilgrimage that people take from the south of France to Santiago de Compostela. A lot of people do it walking. Most people do it walking. There's some bicycling and horses. I only actually did 11 days. So I started about two-thirds of the way through, took the train up there from Barcelona and just started walking every day, like 12 to 18 miles a day, met some great people. You stay in these little hostels every night that everyone's there just for the Camino. So it's not like a party hostel or anything. Everyone goes to sleep early, wakes up early, very reasonably priced. So that was a great experience as well. I definitely recommend if anyone has the chance, even if it's just for a few months.
It feels like we should do a whole episode on that because I'm sure travel teaches you things that you can't even predict before you go on that journey.
It definitely teaches you to be, you got to be adaptable and prepared, I guess I would say, prepared for anything.
Yeah. And I guess it also takes the edge off of things a little bit, right? You feel like you absolutely cannot tackle certain things, and then you'll be surprised that you can.
Yeah, it definitely gives you a different perspective too. Like
Yeah.
it gets you
Yeah.
out of the bubble of work and the Bay Area and all that. So it's definitely
Yes. Awesome. And any parting thoughts for the listeners?
take a break if you can, maintain that work-life balance. Just really do what you have interest in. Write about things, even if it's just to yourself at first. I think my best work is usually created when it's something I really enjoy doing. If I'm having to rearrange a slide deck, that might not be as fun for me. Might not be my best work, but if I have to create a fun video or a blog on an interesting topic like Nutanix Enterprise AI, I think it turns out really well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Laura. This was a fantastic episode, and I'll plug Nutanix Enterprise AI as well.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ashwini. Great to be here.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube or on any podcast platform. Follow us on LinkedIn at Through the Corporate Glass. You can leave us a comment on YouTube or send us feedback via our website, throughthecorporateglass.com. We would love to hear your feedback.